All right, Cody, I want to talk about yourself a little in 2 to 3 to 4 minutes.
Sure. So I was born in Michigan. I quickly moved to Wyoming, where I've spent the majority of my life. Other than that, it was Montana. Moved around quite a bit, visited several different schools, hung out with several different kids. Graduated in Pavilion, Wyoming, then went to CWC, where I got associates in graphic design, and then I transferred here to the University of Wyoming to pursue a bachelor's in English. Here.
Cool. So how do you connect? What art medium do you connect with the most?
Definitely humor and comedy. I definitely view those as the most profound forms of art in my life.
How could comedy and humor be perceived as art?
So, to me, art is any form of human creativity that elicits a human response or a human emotion. For some people that's taking pictures, for some it's literature, which I also view as art, but not as profound to me as humor. But comedy does that. It can take a serious subject and really make light of it and bring laughter to whoever is listening. And I think laughter is really like the key to life. And if art can bring that about, that's one of the most important and profound things that can happen. I mean, like, people will look at a painting and start crying because they're just so moved by it. For me, that's always been comedy and jokes, whether it's through stand-up or just like art or comedic writing or just a cartoon, just anything like that.
What are some of your favorite contemporary examples of comedy as an art form?
So like some people today that I'm really influenced by are people like Joe Rogan, Mike Birbiglia, Daniel Tosh, Dan Cook, even though he's kind of starting to be a little more outdated. I still found myself going back to Retaliation 1. They just seem to bring to light a lot of like harsh and crude subjects, like things that people are usually like offended by, and they make fun of them in such a way that makes it socially acceptable and allows people to laugh at. And to me, if you can do that and have that kind of master, how am I trying to say, like the master ability to form those words in such a meaningful and creative way to take a dark subject and laugh about it. Like sometimes they'll joke about like cancer or murder or rape and things like that, and you find yourself laughing at it, and like you really hate those things, but you're laughing, and that's art to me.
So they're able to take some pretty hard issues, just about human nature, and maybe lighten them up a little.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a dark world. I mean, you try to not really think about it, but there's like crime and a lot of like malicious stuff that happens to people, and humor is a way to take that negativity and bring it to light in a positive and fun way, like regardless of the subject matter, if you're good at it, and that's art.
Are there any specific comedians that you draw influence from for your own work? Or?
Yeah, so there were the ones listed. There's like several others, like Amy Schumer, someone I really come to like when it comes to like the female aspect. She's got a really good master craft over that. Like there's so many others. There's the classics like Seinfeld, Richard Pryor, Carlin, his 7 dirty words you can't say on TV was like I must have heard that track like 30 times growing up. They're just so fantastic, and they're really masters of what they do.
So obviously, like art in different mediums evolves over time. Have you been able to kind of identify how people's sense of humor or comedy has changed over the past few decades? Or?
I feel like it's getting harder to joke about more things now as the time goes by. People are becoming a little bit more politically correct, when I feel like people should be looking at comedy more objectively. People are putting too much of their own emotions and opinions into jokes, so jokes are really being restricted, I feel like, today. Like in the 90s and stuff, like you could say words like retard and faggot, and today you can't. For obvious reasons. I mean, it oppressed a whole group of people, but if you look at it objectively, it can really help overall with the joke if you use the right set of words in comedy to make the joke.
What do you think about how comedy's made its way onto the internet and how it's kind of started a new culture of like memes?
I think it's fantastic because no generation has been able to do that before. It used to have to be things like plays or just stand-up or like TV shows, but now people are finding really creative ways to just pair up just a single image with words and eliciting just like actual laugh-out-loud responses. And if you can master that, again, that's art. You can get someone to have a positive reaction.
Yeah, how it's kind of happens kind of subtly, how this new visual form of comedy is popped up.
Yeah, with the advancement of technology, it's really opening up a lot more windows and like outlets to be funny, especially with things like YouTube. People can just be in their own room with their own props. They don't need to have like expensive play stages and things like that and costumes, and they can in their own room just create their own skits and their own forms of comedy to reach an audience and get their work out there. And they couldn't do that before without technology, so that's where it's going. Anybody can be a comedian nowadays.
Comedy's kind of been democratized to the point where it's available
Absolutely.
for everyone. So what would a world be like without humor, without comedy?
I can't imagine a world where that exists, like at least not without humans. I think to be human is to laugh, is to find those little moments in life where you can smile and just laugh at everything around you. I think if a world without laughter would be a world where everyone took everything seriously, and that's the complete opposite like intent of comedy. Like that's just a gray, black and white world with almost no human emotions. It'd just be an awful existence. Life without laughter is not a life worth living.